How we doing, Raven fans, Oriole fans? Thank you very much for joining us today here. A little issue there. So we're all right now. Thank you very much for joining us. This is the Ravori Sports Podcast for fans like me. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. This is our biggest viewed month that we've ever had. So thank you very much for all of you, especially on Twitter, watching all of our interviews today, watching our regular podcast every week. Definitely this week coming up, Marlins and Orioles. Definitely we're going to do an instant reaction to that July 13th, right pretty much after this. And our MLB draft coverage is coming up. Genesis Notary Services, Harris Legal Shield. If you know, you know, from Winchester, Virginia. Obviously, see Charles Harris. We are Legal Shield. And, of course, all of our Ravori Sports merchandise and our new links now with Fanatics. Check that out. That's on Twitter. And now we have a guy here. We have a longtime Coppin State professor. He's taught so many people how to do this, what we're doing today, a media professor for, I don't know how many years, still out here teaching as well. I couldn't
check out my new place, man.
Yeah, check out the new place. I've had that same place.
My background.
For the background.
Anyway, man, what a pleasure it is to be here. I mean, a real honor. Ravori Sports. Woo! My man. I'm so proud of you guys, man. I'm so proud of all my former students.
Thank you, sir. So you went to listing all your accomplishments. You said summarize it, but you went to college. Yeah. I think you went to college with you probably don't remember saying this to me, but you went to college with my brother, Gilbert Mack, long time ago at Western Maryland College. Now I'm at Daniel. NYU Film School. Same school Spike Lee went to. Got talking about polymath. I'm seeing deep thinking on your site, and you got a new book out. So all the stuff. So that's the deep dive we have. And I did not even know that you were Indian.
Oh yeah. And my grandfather, you could see his straight hair, you know what I mean, and sort of Asiatic features and everything, and the way he danced and the way he sang. So yeah, it goes all throughout our family, and most Black people have some Native American blood somewhere. So
I do too. My grandmother, my grandmother was, according to my mom, she was Native American as well. So my grandmother was Native American on my father's side. He was from Puerto Rico. He wasn't Black at all. So they wound up marrying Black people. So it's funny. People don't know that. True. Yeah.
And Puerto Rico is kind of Native American. You know, they're kind of indigenous to here. So, but anyway, we're here to talk sports.
All right. So
other stuff, media, whatever. We're here to talk about whatever you want to talk. And as long as it's not me.
Yeah. All right, Professor. So let's talk about you said we were going to talk a little NFL appreciation, but you talked about your background with the Negro Leagues.
Yes.
As well, how much you were fascinated about baseball, about Negro League baseball. We all know the story, and we were just talking like the story of Jackie Robinson, what he went through, and all those things. But there's so many great players that were in Negro Leagues, and finally now we're seeing now them eligible to be the Negro League stats are now eligible for the Hall of Fame. So talk to me about that a little bit. How you feel about the Negro League baseball? So much I could
talk about there, man. I'm gonna tell you something right off the bat. You know, the Negro Leagues, what I'm really trying to do is keep this history alive. My grandfather had a team, Cab Calloway. They would perform with the Negro League teams when the band was in town. And it was just sort of a mock exposition thing. But I mean, could you imagine a band like, playing baseball with the Oreos, and they're going to perform that night?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what it was like Janet Jackson throwing out the opening pitch or something like that. It's like, wow. So, yeah, they used to do that all the time, man, just to hustle and make money. And, I think for us as, people who have traditionally been oppressed, the Negro Leagues was a way to keep our sanity. And on top of that, you got to consider the Negro Leagues kicked off the civil rights movement. Jackie Robinson was 10 years before 10 years before Rosa Parks and the civil rights movement. Baseball was already integrated. And, it's not a lot of sports, especially in America, really, other than, I guess, soccer, that can really say that historically the sport itself played a huge part in the future of the country. The fact that baseball was before everybody else in integrating really influenced the rest of the country in the future from then on. So I think it's a heck of a story. And there's 2 women players on the Negro Leagues too. Mamie Peanut Johnson and Tony Stone. So they were professional baseball players. One was a pitcher and the other was an outfielder, but they did it. So, I mean, can you imagine traveling, going on tour with all those guys? So, yeah, it's a lot of history there. It's a lot of history. Now, you're muted.
What funded the Negro Leagues? Do you have any idea? I always kind of wondered, like, how they were even able to even get as far as they did, what they did.
I don't know how Rube Foster got his money. He may have been an insurance salesman, because insurance was a big deal back then. Black people wanted their children to end up better off than they were. So it was, it was just something every family did. And so I'm not sure, but he was the first. Rube Foster was the first owner and commissioner of the Negro Leagues. He owned the stadium, the team. He played on the team. He owned the concessions, sold the tickets. I mean, the whole 9 yards. So a lot of it was just through ticket sales. And a lot of it initially was volunteering, guys just coming together saying, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to go up to Newark and see who can play the best ball. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of it was how it started as well. And they were so popular among the people that's part of the reason why they had to integrate baseball, because the Negro Leagues was so much more fun, to go to than the major leagues. So
it's fascinating. I always wondered how they were even able to do anything as far as that goes. I'm sure they certainly didn't go to white America at that time and get money, and certainly they didn't do any of that. Obviously, you had great players.
Yeah.
Here in this part of Virginia, they're just now acknowledging a Negro League player, Spotswood Poles. Played for the Philadelphia Giants, played for the New York Giants, and all that stuff. They call him the Black Tie Cobb and all that. And he's from this part of Virginia. But he played in the 20s. It's taken so long for these guys to get the type of recognition that is it. What else is it besides is it just a lack of knowledge by most players and most people in general? Even I think African Americans don't have the knowledge, I think, of the Negro players.
It's the weirdest thing, in my experience in my life, and maybe I'm wrong. It's just what I've experienced, but I don't understand why African Americans don't take their history more seriously. I've just never understood that, because it's so much to be proud of, and it's not a tragic story because we're evolving, we're growing, we're making a difference. You know what I mean? But I don't know. We've got to fight for our history now, and so yeah, I think it's that important because it hasn't happened because as you can see, you've got a significant part of the population that really doesn't care. You know what I mean? That wants to forget about it and move on, sort of. While you've got another part of the population that's like, hey, wait a minute, we still don't feel right about what happened, and we're wondering what you're going to do about it and what you're going to say about it. Because it wasn't right, and you admit it wasn't right. So what's up?
Right.
And that's what's basically been happening. So, but it was an amazing time. You're right, Satchel Paige. Even just seeing the women play baseball. Satchel. Part of the reason they called him Satchel is because he was working as a porter, and he could catch the bags on a stick, and he would carry so many bags, so many satchels on a stick when he was going up.
Phenomenal player, Satchel Paige was. Yeah. He was phenomenal player, yeah.
But that satchel, carrying that satchel and stuff is how he got that wind up and that pitch going, and he would stick his foot straight up in the air, man, like 180 degrees, and just come down with heat, boy. Woo! And I think he's the oldest player to have won Rookie of the Year.
He was in his 40s or 50s, right? Or something like that. I don't know exactly how old he was, but he was really old. But that tells you how good he was for so long.
I'm serious. Now, and the other way he got the name Satchel is this. He would go to Newark, Wilmington, Aberdeen, Baltimore, Bowie, all in one day. And all the people would gather in those places like Bowie or whatever just to see Satchel Paige. And he would start off in the morning, pitch a couple of pitches at each stop, and just keep right on going down the highway. And they said they called him Satchel because he always had a satchel full of money. But yeah,
I believe it. He had a satchel full of money. That's the other part to what those guys would have made had they been major leaguers. It's kind of a thing. Like you just think about the legend of Babe Ruth, the legend of Lou Gehrig, the legend of those guys. Some of those guys,
legend of Josh Gibson. Yeah,
Josh Gibson was.
And so why didn't Josh Gibson integrate the leagues? Well, it was because Jackie wasn't the best player, but Jackie was just the right player. He had the right disposition for it. Josh, to be honest, had a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Partly because of what you were saying. He wasn't given his due. He knew he was the baddest dude on the planet, but he was still treated like a second-class citizen.
And Jackie wasn't a militant guy, as quiet as his cat. This is a large conversation we have about black people. But
that's
right. Know how it is. We always want to bounce back and all that. No, you need somebody sometimes to not do that, to get in the door, to get and look what he accomplished. Getting there with Jackie and everything.
But he gave his life for it. He died high blood pressure. The stress and everything of his life, and he got death threats up until the end. People hated Jackie Robinson, who were racist, and so as I understand it, he grew blind. Just the stress of his life really got to him. So
I don't know if you remember years ago that Nightline interview they had with Ted Koppel and Al Campanis, and Al Campanis was the GM, I think, an executive with the Dodgers at the time. And he came out and just unfortunately said things about African Americans not being smart enough to be GMs, not being smart enough to become leaders. Because they asked him, well, how come we don't have African Americans? And he said, well, African Americans aren't bright enough to do it, et cetera, et cetera. The interesting part, everybody forgets why they even asked him to be there. He was Jackie Robinson's roommate all those years. It was the anniversary of Jackie Robinson, and he was Jackie Robinson's roommate. So the guy couldn't have been, but he didn't know any idea what he was saying.
Yeah,
and it was interesting to see that play out for him because again he was immediately just canceled all that.
I know. How long ago was that?
This was in the 80s. I know this was when Nightline was on in the 80s, a long time ago.
Because here's the thing: the guy was just calling it like he saw it, And at least he was being honest. He's not like lying to you and saying, "Oh, well, it's whatever." He just said, to me, they're not smart enough, and that just wow, how could you say that? Well, of course, we're not given an equal education, How could you not say we're you know what I mean? We have poor schools, poor support systems, we don't have a culture that's geared toward education. Like the Asian people come here and they just, man, my old school, NYU, is practically Asian now. It's practically University of Beijing, man. I mean, last time I was up there, so yeah, they're just inclined toward education. We're not produced that way. We were produced as slaves, so of course we're not going to be in.
Let's move into that a little bit, Professor. Let's talk about education now. That's why I met you a long time ago, 19, 18 years old in a Coppin State class. And would you tell, I don't know if you have children or not or whatever, but would you tell them to take that class like I did, like we did a long time ago? What do you think the value is in having a journalistic? I just talked to Jeremy Malloy, who's studying journalism and everything like that. What would you say to somebody now who wants to be in media that's looking to follow in the footsteps of Peter Brooks there?
Or Charles Harris, really. I mean, that's why you want to take that class. It changes your life. And, you got to have a certain attitude. You're going to do media communications, television, and stuff like that. And part of it is that, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try it. And you got to be like, if somebody says, hey, do you want to be in front of the camera this time? Yeah, I'll do it. You got. So the importance of being open-minded, and that's part of what college teaches you. They say you have to take all these classes like biology or history that's not related to your major and everything. So you keep an open mind. You have something to talk about, you have some context with the things you're taking. You have some problem-solving skills because you're not just thinking one way. And so, I think that's a lot of it is just, and then imagining an opportunity for yourself. Like, you were journalism, but you had an open mind enough to do podcasting, or vlogging. And so, it's a lot of it is keeping an open mind and then searching for opportunities and taking care of them when they arrive. When opportunity knocks, you got to have your bags packed. You got to be ready to go. And so constantly being on edge and sharp like that, is another thing. But there's tremendous value. I mean, there's so many different levels of communication. Just within sports, you've got journalism like what you're doing. What else is an agent but a communicator? You've got broadcasting, which is huge in sports. There's so many different levels of communication. There's also branding for the teams, and the leagues. And when you're dealing with the leagues, there's crisis management. Then there's crisis management consulting for all the athletes, when they have problems like DUIs or whatever. So there's so many different levels of communication. It's up to your imagination. And so it's one of the few majors where you can imagine a future for yourself and then just go for it. Or if an opportunity happens, just go for it. You have an opportunity to go to Los Angeles, you go to Los Angeles, say, hey, I'm going to audition for some plays, even just start off doing little stuff. And before you know it, you're the next Katrina Nelson, another one of your classmates who's a producer out now, LA out there. So, that was her dream and she just lived it.
We're and media people kind of crazy compared to what the advice would be to go to college in that sense. Okay. So we're entering something in media that, may not work out, right? There's a chance there's risk involved with that. That's kind of not what they say for a lot, especially in the current climate of the workforce now. What is it? What is wrong with the cost of college? I went to Coppin State because it was inexpensive. A lot of people, Morgan, the cost is out of control. What's the reason, part of the reason why the cost is out of control as a professor, as an administrator?
Absolutely. Great question. You're not really producing a tangible product. In other words, you pay $24,000 for something, you expect to get an automobile. You expect to get a boat. You expect to get a house. You expect to get something for your $24,000. I mean, you're just walking away with your memories from college. You know what I mean? There's nothing really tangible about it. And a piece of paper. I mean, that's all you can say you got from it. But the benefits are, of course, So you enter into a new, different class when you've got a college degree. You've got more options. And you're able, like I said, to solve problems better. You know, the more education you have, the more options you have. But why is the cost so high? Part of the reason is because universities are often involved in research, and universities play a sort of a unique role in society where people who don't fit in other places or have ideas that may or may not be worth any money, they fall into universities, and it's kind of incumbent on the university in some way to support those people. But universities also support artists and the arts in a big way when people come perform and speak and that kind of thing. And because you're involved in research, again, you're not really producing anything. And so you have all these faculty members. They are in a major like English or so, and you've got 13 majors in the whole department, but you've got 6 faculty members, and then those faculty members retire, and you have to pay their retirement the whole time. And so, yeah, all those costs start to add up. Colleges and universities, if you notice also, try to create for you a first-class experience. They try to do everything like top of the line hospitality and all that stuff, the design of the places and the placement of things like flowers and plants and things for you to enjoy and all that. It's not like the real world. It's not like that. People buy a business front or something like that, and they just leave it for years and do as little as possible, you know, as they can to keep it up. And so the universities are always looking pristine, like my background. And they're you know, it takes money to do that. If nobody's going to do it by themselves, you know, like volunteer, like, yeah, I'm going to keep this place clean. You know what I mean? I'm going to do all the horticulture, and I'm going to do the window cleaning, and I'm going to do everything for free. It's not happening anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, all those costs just add up.
Coppin State has expanded quite a bit since I was. It used to be. I used to say all the time. I went down. You could go down North Avenue and not even know Coppin was there, right? Or
Not
you could go
anymore.
near Diamond Mall and not anymore. No, you hit it. You see it all over the place. In general, you've done a lot of other teaching. I know. I'm talking about Coppin here, but what is it? HBCU, is it viable now in general? Or is it? So HBCU, is it viable now? Is it?
Question.
Is that a good idea? I have a daughter who wants to go to a HBCU. She wants to go to Bowie State. She just turned 18.
Gosh, what a great school, Bowie State.
She wants to go to Bowie State, but is that a good idea nowadays? For it certainly is a different experience. The HBCU.
Right, now,
there's nothing like
y'all see this, right? Charles Harris throwing me curveballs here, man. That's a good question, man. That's a tricky one, boy, if I'm going to make contact. All right, I would say yes, because it's a certain feeling you get, and it's, again, the only time in your life, really, where I can describe it like this. When I went to Jamaica for the first time and I saw that everybody was Black, all the police officers, all the judges, all the lawyers, all the political leaders. I mean, it's just a special feeling. It's like a reservation for Black people. And it's indescribable. And so when you're in a situation where, especially if you've come from places where there aren't those kind of role models, and you see all the professors are Black, and they're doing so well, and they're so smart and everything, it's a real inspiration, man. And there's nothing like it. When you go to a party or something like that, you don't have the anxiety of like trying to fit in and knowing you're different from them. And do these people like us or do they not? And what are they saying behind my back? You don't have any of that stuff when you're dealing with your people. You're just dealing with your people, and Black people do. We have a unique way of communicating. We have a unique way of celebrating. We have a unique way of everything. And it's compatible with what the other people are doing. But then again, it's not compatible. So, it's like
I told my daughter, and I told a lot of people, when you have a class, every class is Black history.
That's the only place in a way it is. And the teachers care.
You go to a historically white college, which is most college, and you go to HBCU, everything is from our perspective. And so how valuable is that to you, and how valuable is that in general? It's a totally different experience.
It's a brilliant insight.
When you go somewhere else.
It's a brilliant insight, Harris. You are awesome, dude. This is an awesome podcast. I hope people watching this are enjoying this, man, because this brother has worked hard to get where he is, and he's doing a good job.
Where are we in media in general, Professor? Like in general, like we're podcasting now on YouTube, which didn't exist back in those days. Television, radio. I know you're writing books. We're going to get to that, but where would you say? Where are we in general? How much longer does TV have? How much longer does radio? I mean, I don't want to get too broad, but summarize that a little bit. If you were advising somebody to go down the path, what would you tell them?
Well, right now, I mean, in terms of media, we're in one of the strongest points we've ever been, because we've got a president who is basically a social media president. He uses social media to his advantage. Social media got him popular, got him elected. And it's rare, that there's, especially in today's decentralized society, like you said, when people have so many options for their entertainment, it's rare you get a single person or personality who can rally the entirety. It's rare that you can get a personality who can rally, a single person, the entire population. I mean, in the way that somebody like Tom Hanks does, where he represents you, even though he doesn't really. And so that's what happens. And it can only be through social media that you get this kind of attention and trolling and keeping everyone on their edge of their seats about your every word, and then enjoying that, to no end. So it's in terms of social media and the it's about finding those personalities and those profiles, and as a media communication major, leveraging those. It's not always about you becoming the most popular. It's about you getting other people in the right driver's seat. I think of one of the great historic figures in Black mass communications was Don King. Don King would promote boxing matches throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And he was a big deal. Remember him?
I make Don King references all the time. Only in America. He's the most crooked man of all time. And he's always talking about only in America. But he had that image with the hair, and people knew who he was. And he's even now, like, who's the top promoter in all of boxing? You don't even know. But everybody knew who Don King was.
Don King was, yeah. And part of that was Don King, how he got started was, I believe it was in Cuba. George Foreman knocked somebody out. And George Foreman was sort of shocked. Everybody was shocked. Joe Frazier. You know the story. Yeah. And so he got in the limousine, and Don King got in the other door on the passenger side. You know what I mean? Because what's the name got in? Frazier got in on the driver's side. And so, it started from there. And then you know what it was. It was communication. Don King was leveraging whatever skills he had learned. From him, it was the University of the Streets, probably, of how he can talk to somebody and disarm them and persuade them to follow you. Because remember, the mass communications, the media, it's either you're trying to persuade somebody of something, you're trying to entertain them, or you're trying to tell them information. You're trying to give them the truth. And so it's going to be one of those three. And you're blurring the distinctions. You're both information and entertainment.
So a couple more things here, Professor. Special Education Maryland Arts Council keynote speaker, story of the beaver, which I watched your video where you were just reading the story of the beaver. Man. Director of the Hubie Blake Center, and worked with the NAACP.
Yeah, NAACP. Really proud of my work there. Yeah.
And Janatri Matra.
Gayatri Mantra.
Gayatri Mantra. So we may attain the windows of splendor, active into the divine that inspires our things. So the versatility that you've had out your whole life, I think like we're kind of moving into an area where people need to be more like you. You're not there all the time, right? You're not, there are people, there are teachers there at Coppin that are still there from when you were there a long time ago.
Really?
And you've had a whole different life. Whole different life.
Well, to understand it, really.
Go ahead.
I have autism and I have ADHD. And so autism causes me to drill deep into stuff and various specific things. And then the ADHD causes me to keep going from thing to thing to thing to thing. And that's how I became a polymath. It's a Renaissance man, able to do a lot of different things and just a few of them really deep. But yeah, very hard to define, and Homo universalis, universal human, hard to tell what race I am or anything. So
I think it's the world that we're going to now. Yeah, I think that I told my brother this the other day, like he's more always been like anti-work, kind of like you, kind of like not really wanting to stay in one place for so long, not so many. I think the world is gravitating to that. So I think like somebody with your experience can kind of help a lot of people nowadays. Hey, you're not going to get a chance to stay on the job 10, 15 years. You
right. Like
move around. Yeah. No. Oh, go ahead. We got you.
So yeah, it has changed a lot from what it used to be, and you thought you had a job for a long time. I mean, Maryland, for instance, we had reporters like Stan Sanders who gave their life to the city, and that's another good guess if you hadn't had Stan Sanders on. But yeah, and that's history. That is Black history right there. And it's just not. I don't think it's going to be that way anymore.
Gary Sandusky was doing the sports in Baltimore when I was a little kid, and he's still there. And I think that was always the thing with sports in general. Some of those guys never leave. Yeah, like you got some of these guys, like
that's old school, bruh. That's old school because it's not like that out here. Yeah, and you got to hustle, man. You can't. You got no time to feel sorry for yourself or think about stuff or. Even participate in a lot of stuff you want to do. You can't because you're hustling, man.
Dave Ramsey said the same thing. If you don't have a job, then you got one thing to go to, work. If you're working hard, you ain't got time to feel sorry for yourself or feel sorry for your problems and all that. Real quick, let's talk about your book, man.
Hey, thanks,
so you got a new book coming out here. And the last thing you said in the LinkedIn post when I reached out to you, hey man, check out my new book. So talk about the new book that you're out here.
I'm so excited about this book because I can finally I think now writing may be my ultimate thing because in writing you can say anything. You can say whatever you want because it's a novel. Nobody can say anything. It's fiction. You know what I mean? So Sarees sneakers and Secret Love. It's really designed to make money. I'll be honest with you. And also it has a story to tell. I think that people need to know. It's basically about a Hindu girl who comes to the United States to study under a professor, Dr. Raj. And as she's studying in the United States, all hell kind of break loose. It's sort of like Kamala Harris's story, right? But instead of politics like Trump and stuff, it's an inquisition, you know what I'm saying? An inquisition like the Catholics used to do back in the day, man. If you weren't Catholic, it was heresy and you'd be killed. So everybody had to convert to Catholicism. Well, it's different in the book. In the book, it's monotheism, the belief in one God. So in the book, the Jews the Christians and the Muslims all get together. They all come together. And there's no reason why they shouldn't. I mean, it's the same God, right? And so that's how they start to knock out all of the religions that have multiple gods, like Hinduism or Buddhism or the traditional African religions or stuff like that. And so that's basically what the story is about. And it's
far different than American culture. Far different than American culture. Even though there's more feminism now all over the world, but there's a ways away from the feminism and the stuff we have in this country. Correct? Is that fair?
Yeah, the ocean makes a difference, man. And I think that, you know, at the end of the day, you just come to see that we're one people. That's kind of the climax of the book. They can't really execute people like they used to in the Inquisition because times have changed and things have gotten better. And just the idea that there would be an Inquisition seems absurd. But then so did something like, you know, the end of DEI or the end of Medicare. You know, It seemed absurd, but it happened. I saw it. You know what I mean? So you never know. It could actually happen. And because the catalyst for it, a lot of it in the novel is the presence of the UFOs. You remember, like, last summer we had that UFO scare and everything. Mm-hmm. So that's what kind of drives people to go back to religion. And at the end of the day, you know, think about it. In a way, you could argue that Judaism was founded to suppress the Egyptian religion.
Right.
Because it was the total opposite. The Egyptians had multiple gods, and Pharaoh was the intermediary between God and man. And the Jews just totally distorted that. They said no.
Pharaoh was the one that was the boss guy, right? There was no questioning. There was never any questioning Pharaoh. Pharaoh, you would be beheaded immediately.
But unlike a dictator, Pharaoh was the spiritual leader. He was supposed to be doing God's work on earth. And if you think God's work is killing a bunch of people, it was not that at all. You know, God's work was to take care of his children and stuff like that. And here's the link to sports, man. And I bring this out in the novel. So the ancient Egyptian god was called Ra, right? Mm-hmm. And what people would do to worship him is they would come together in a certain pavilion and they would dance and mix and stuff like that. And then every once in a while, they would all yell together, Ra.
Right. Like in a game. Ra.
Exactly. Yeah. Spirit that is captured of Ra. Deep, man.
I didn't know that. That's the polymath right there, Professor.
It's deep, man. Yeah. That is polymath. You know, I should be talking to Polytechnic anyway. But that's deep. That's how deep it goes. And so, it's all that stuff kind of comes out in the novel. It deals a lot with religion and comparative religion and stuff like that. Right.
And it's on Amazon, correct? You can get, I saw it on Amazon.
And right now it's just $5. Yep. And right now it's just $5. But I don't know if I'm going to keep that price. So you better get it while you can. Put it up there. So. But it's an interesting novel. Hopefully it's fun. Hopefully people enjoy it. I get to put in some of my sense of humor, which, as you can see, is kind of different. And, I hope
this is how you were. This is how you were in class, too. This is why everybody loved Professor Brooks' class, because you were always
high energy. Yep. 45 minutes of just go, and then it would be like, it's time to leave already. I know. No, I haven't changed.
That's awesome. And tell everybody else where we can find you and what else you're doing, if you haven't been besides
among other things. So one of the things I'm most proud about right now is I'm working with severely autistic children in like kindergarten and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just have a bond with them. But then sometimes I penetrate with it and I think, wow, man, I used to be a college professor. I used to teach adults. And now I teach little children who can't even speak. Man, that's deep. That's deep to me. That's deep. But I'm successful at it. I don't know what to say. It works for me. So, I mean, I'm where I'm supposed to be, you know?
Yeah.
That, and I do guided meditations to try to help people feel better. Those are points where I get you into what this state is called entrainment, and it also relates to sports. Entrainment is when both halves of your brain operate in sync. Usually they don't. One side is the creative and the other is the analytical. But when they operate in sync, that's what they call in sports flow. That's when an athlete is really feeling it. It's all coming together for them. They're one with everything. The ball, the opportunity, the end zone, they just feel it. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that's the same thing. And so I teach people how to achieve a state of entrainment because obviously, you know, it's the difference between people like Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, even Devin Hester, if you want to go old school, and the rest of us. And part of it, I think, is the fact that they can get their mind into that synchronized, you know. Jaden Daniels definitely can do that, man, because I'm going to tell you the truth, Charles. Much as I love Baltimore, I'm born a Commanders fan, man, from way back. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's the first time in a long time that I can say that with any kind of pride and dignity that I am a Commanders fan. You know,
I'm in DC area. I'm getting that a lot here. So yeah, I get it. I get it.
Long time. Some great men have fought for that team. I can't take that away from them. But as a fan, it's been really hard for a while. And I appreciate everything those guys did. I was there with them every step of the way, believe me.
It's been a minute. Gary Clark, Art Monk, those guys got great hit now. Those are Darryl Green.
And even then, you couldn't believe it. We were never like a dynasty because before all of them, we were sorry. In the 60s, kind of
had those years where they were really good.
Yeah, whereas the Ravens are perennial powerhouse. I don't care who you got. Trent Dilfer, good, go. Lamar Jackson, go. Joe Flacco, go. We're all going to playoffs. We're all going to championship. We're all going to Super Bowl. Whoever it is, you know, that's power, man. But Washington, man, we were like the Detroit Lions, man. We were sorry.
Thank you very much, Professor, and definitely check out his book. Definitely go on Amazon and all of you.
Sarees, Sneakers, and Secret Love. Yeah,
it is telling you. I'm telling you that this sports podcast, but I can tell you, reading romance novels actually helped me how to read. I was having trouble at copying and reading, and I had a girlfriend at the time who read romance novels, and it helped me learn how to read and get through it. So definitely, if you're out there, even you sports fans out there, definitely pick up books and things like that to help you with your journey and everything like that, no matter what the subject is. It's awesome. All right, sir. Thank you, Professor. This went exactly how I thought it would. Thank you very much for calling us for the Raven Sports Podcast. You guys have a great rest of your day.